When people think of St. Patrick's Day, they picture parades, shamrocks, and all things green. But behind the celebration was a man who lived out incredible faith. St. Patrick was kidnapped, enslaved, and later called by God to return to the very people who had mistreated him to share the gospel. His life was a powerful example of trust, forgiveness, and obedience. Today we'll look at his story and how it challenges us to let our light shine for Christ. How did St. Patrick's faith lead him to forgive, obey God, and bring the gospel to the very people who once enslaved him? St. Patrick was taken as a slave to Ireland, but during his captivity, he turned to God and grew strong in faith. After escaping, he obeyed God's call to return to Ireland, not with anger, but with the message of Christ's love. Through his trust in God, he forgave his captors, spread the gospel, and led many to Jesus.
Welcome to Word Study Ministries, discovering truth through God's Word with James Ellis.
Hello, and welcome to today's podcast. As we celebrate St. Patrick's Day, let us take a moment to go beyond the parades and green decorations and look at the man behind the holiday, a man whose life was marked by faith, obedience, and the power of God's calling. Jesus said in Matthew 5:14-16, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." St. Patrick was not Irish by birth. He was born in Britain in the late 4th century. When he was just a teenager, Irish raiders kidnapped him and took him to Ireland as a slave. Imagine how hopeless and afraid he must have felt. But in that dark season, something incredible happened. Patrick turned to God. He prayed constantly, and his faith grew stronger. After 6 years in captivity, Patrick escaped and returned home. Most would have tried to forget that painful chapter in their life, but Patrick's story was not over. He had a dream where he saw the Irish people calling him back to share the gospel with them. It would have been easy to refuse. After all, they had enslaved him. But Patrick obeyed God's will. He returned to Ireland not with revenge in his heart, but with the message of Christ's love. Through Patrick's faithful obedience, countless people in Ireland came to know Jesus. He baptized new believers, planted churches, and stood firm against the pagan practices of the land. His mission was not easy. He faced opposition, danger, and hardship. But he never gave up because he knew God had called him. Patrick let his light shine in a dark place. He could have let his past pain keep him from following God's call, but he chose to bring the message of Jesus to the very people who had once enslaved him. St. Patrick's life challenges us in a powerful way. He trusted God in suffering, forgave those who wronged him, and obeyed even when it was difficult. What about us? Do we trust God's plan even when we don't understand it? Are we willing to forgive and show love to those who have hurt us? Are we ready to step out in faith and share the gospel with those who need to hear it? This St. Patrick's Day, let's do more than wear green. Let's remember a man who followed Christ wholeheartedly and ask ourselves, how can we do the same? Thank you for listening. May you walk boldly in faith, just as Patrick did.
Thank you for listening to Word Study Ministries, discovering truth through God's Word with James Ellis.